Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groones is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groones.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
It's the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 223. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, we're talking Golden Gopher football with one of the all-time great quarterbacks in program history. Tanner Morgan will join me to talk about this year's Gopher team, about what he's up to now, including running a quarterback's camp, and much more. And yes, we might even take a trip down memory lane. Our Go Gopher podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. Get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Hey, make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Longtime Gopher sports supporter Cub is a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher podcast. In a hurry, don't worry, Cub delivers. Get fresh meat, produce, everyday essentials, and more delivered to your door. Cub is the official grocer of the Golden Gophers and proud to support Gopher athletics for over 20 years. The Go Gopher podcast is also presented by onX Maps. Find out how to download the onX Fish app for free by listening to the Go Gopher Podcast. We're podcasting episode 223 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe or follow the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to do so. You can go back and listen to previous Go Gopher Podcast. Last week, for example, we were the first podcast to interview new Gopher softball coach Greta Melstad, and we found out what makes her tick. We found out about her vision for the program and much more. If you missed it, go back and have a listen. It was tremendous. This week, we're talking pigskin with former Gopher QB Tanner Morgan. He'll join me next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
This is Jim Suhan for TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR-TIME. TSR Injury Law started off as a small business. They are now a large, very successful business because they help people, because they win cases. If you are injured, call 612-TSR-TIME. They will help you out or point you in the right direction. They will not charge you unless they win your case, and they win a lot of cases. We don't want you to need their help. They don't want you to need their help. But if you do need their help, call 612-TSR-TIME.
It's episode 223. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the Go Gopher Podcast a returnee. I don't know how many total times Tanner Morgan, one of the all-time great Gopher quarterbacks, has been on this podcast, but this has got to be the 5th, 6th, 7th time, huh? Good to see you.
Yeah, who knows, man? Thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Back into the old comfy confines of our on-campus studio. I'm glad that you were able to swing by campus here and join us right here.
You give me an excuse to get on campus, I'll take it.
Yeah, good to see you. You're looking good. We'll talk about kind of what you're up to now. I know a lot of people know what you're doing, and others are probably curious. It's always good to catch up. But let's talk some football first, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. You worked the spring game on TV. So the spring game, a little distance now between then and now, but I think we're starting to ramp up. The Big Ten Football Media Day comes up next month already, and August will be here before we know it. So let's do a little recap and a little preview. First things first, what did you see in that spring game when you were working it on BTN?
Yeah, I think, one, it was a great opportunity for me. Awesome. Love to do it.
You were awesome, too,
well,
I might add.
I appreciate it. More importantly, I think you saw a team play free and play loose. And you got to see the skill of certain guys, especially new players, right? And, in Minnesota, it's awesome with all the sports events we have. I think there was a lot of things going on that weekend. But I think for fans, as we gear up into the fall, they're like, who's going to be the number 1, number 2, number 3 receiver? Well, we don't know. But we saw a lot of guys that Saturday make a lot of plays. I think it was in late April. I think one of the first drives, Noah Jennings catches a post from Drake Lindsey. Well, that was a big question mark. Who's going to step up on the outside? You had Jalen and Javon and a whole crew of guys who had already been here, but Noah Jennings to me is like, that guy's clearly Drake and Noah have some chemistry because that guy emerged to me in that setting. And then in general, you saw the defensive takeaways, right? The havoc defense of Danny Collins, that's obviously something that's really important to Coach Fleck and the Gophers. And kind of what happens here is let's not turn the ball over, that turnover, 78%, and then let's create takeaways on defense. Emmanuel Carmo stretching out, making a pick.
Beautiful
guys that
catch,
were just going around, playing fast and free. And that, to me, is something you love to see from a team. At the end of spring and you're kind of launching into the summer stuff and into training camp is like, where are we at from a skill standpoint? And I think they looked really good. I'm excited to see it. And obviously we could talk about Drake, and we will in a little bit, but just the operational, the confidence, like – the team looked really good, and I'm excited. But really, as a quarterback, former quarterback myself, you look at on the outside who's going to do stuff, and then Bennett Warren played great up front, right? There's an interesting battle. Tony Nelson, right? Well, like who's going to fill in the gaps up front offensively in that O-line unit? But when I'm sitting there watching Noah Jennings, first drive, boom, it's a post, in stride. Noah blows the top off the defense, and Drake's like, I'm going to heave it. Well, that very similar to what we saw Drake do last year with the big arm that he has. So I loved that, and I'm excited to see that relationship and some of the other guys that they have, with the other transfers as well. But I think Noah had, definitely a standout day.
Yeah, no doubt had the, he and I think Drake Lindsey during spring ball at one point, it wasn't after that game, but at one point after one of the practices when he met with reporters said that that's a guy that can run. Like he can get out, has some speed, and they probably need that aspect in this offense just to because I've always thought that and you had it with Bateman, and others, that if you can just make a defensive back for a split second have his heart skip a beat, boy, there goes somebody, even if you don't throw it or even if it's incomplete, frankly, even if it's intercepted, just to make sure they're defending more than 7 or 8 yards, right? You got to defend 60 yards, and when you got an arm like Lindsey, that can become a weapon, even if you only throw deep once maybe a game.
Right, yeah, it's a threat that you have to be able to defend, and you always have to be ready. And when you're looking at the weaknesses, if you're a DC, like, well, where can they take advantage of us? If you have a mismatch at a corner or whatever, it means, well, you might have to play a lighter box. You might have to play more. When we had Bate, a lot of half-field coverage to Bate's side. Well, that makes it a lot easier for Muhammad Ibrahim, and when he was obviously a legend of a running back. And now, how does that affect DT? Which the new DT,
the new
Thompson,
DT too.
Yeah, right. Just all those things play together, and I think that's something Greg Harbaugh Jr. Harbaugh's done such a good job of that, and their offensive staff. It's not just the pass game, run game; it's the collective unit. So what Coach Callahan and Eric Kaler and those guys do in the run game, well, what you do in the pass game, it all has to blend together. And I think one of the things I'm really excited to see is how they continue to evolve offensively, because you have this great talent on at the quarterback position, but it all works together. It's not just like, we need to throw the ball more. Well, no, they're doing stuff that sets everything up, and a lot of the quick game stuff, well, that works into the run game. Their tight, condensed split quick game is an extension of the run game. So I'm really excited. I love what they do offensively. Coach Harbaugh, Kaler, Keegan O'Hara, Isaac Frickty, Brian Callahan, obviously Mo. They got such a great offensive staff, just great guys. And what they can all blend together. And let's not forget, Mo was in Detroit. Yeah. So he learned kind of, and we've heard multiple times that Harbaugh loves to watch the Detroit Lions and their run game. Well, Mo was there. He wasn't there for 3 years, but he got to learn that install and what makes it unique. So how does that continue to blend into what they're doing? So all those things, man, I'm excited to see. We could talk forever offensive and Gopher football, but just what they have on their kind of offensive unit staff and how Harbaugh blends it all together and makes it work, and really makes it work for the quarterback and the talent they have around him. It's going to be fun to see.
When you can maybe take us inside the helmet of the quarterback and inside the quarterback room with the offensive coordinator, and how the head coach also has influence on that, because I think there's a few things, and share what you want about it, but you've been there. You were there for 5 years. I know Greg Harbaugh wasn't your offensive coordinator, but he was on that staff with you, and so you know some of the philosophical things. Some of the RPO stuff went away.
Yeah.
It's coming back, it sounds like, a little bit, so we'll see that. But my question is this. Drake Lindsey was a redshirt freshman last year, 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. That's a good ratio.
Yes, it is.
But if you want to contend for a playoff spot, that number's probably got to be like Tanner Morgan 2019, 30.
Yep.
And if it's 10, it's 10. If it's 8, it's 8. Even if it's 13, it's 13 picks, I'm talking.
Right.
So what's the trade-off when the head coach says 78%? We can't turn it over. I thought if there was one weakness last year, it was lack of explosive plays on offense. There was lots of checkdowns, which is fine, right? That's better than turning it over or having to punt or what have you. So and then this spring, Greg Harbaugh at one point mentioned when he was asked during one of the press conferences, what's the biggest thing you're working with Drake on? And he mentioned a few things. And one of the things he said, one of the biggest things is we want to make sure Drake understands, get us into the right run check. And I know people were like, what? You got this quarterback that's got this NFL caliber arm. Get into a run check. What do you mean get into? We need to get this guy to 30 touchdowns. We shouldn't be checking to runs. Yeah. So get us in that room
for sure.
How much more aggressive can they be?
Yeah.
But yet, getting into a run check, you just talked about it a little bit ago, which sparked the question because I didn't have that written down. But I'm curious. Tell me how all of that works.
Well, it all works together because if you don't get the right run check, now you're not in queue. So instead of 2nd and 6, you're 2nd and 10, which makes it a lot harder, right? Especially, kind of the way historically Minnesota's been, what we did when I was here, what Coach Fleck and Coach Harbaugh have done. Like, you want to stay ahead of the sticks. That's football in general.
Right.
Right. So if you're, let's say you're running into, a rotated defense, whatever the run check may be, whether it's a shade or away from rotation numbers, like if you're running the wrong run, well, two things. One, it doesn't give you a chance to have success in that specific play, which then the next play, well, what's it do for you? Is it 2nd and 7, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2, right? So some of those dirty yards that Mo was so good at getting that DT gets too, right? Well, if you put him in the right run, instead of 2nd and 6, it might be 2nd and 1, which then that could be an explosive shot down. Who knows? And really, off of that too, you get into the right run, well, the right run sets up the right play action pass too. So it all works together, and it's not just, well, Drake, let's throw 4 verticals more. Yeah. It's his evolution as a quarterback. Well, let's talk about Max Brosmer. Max Brosmer, undrafted free agent, starts and plays in a few games for the Minnesota Vikings. His start didn't go the way exactly how he wanted it, but like just that fact that he was a UDFA that started a game shows this guy mentally is far above it than most guys, especially when I was, signed as a UDFA with Pittsburgh. So, well, what does that tell you? One, Max works really hard, but 2, they're preparing quarterbacks here the right way. Well, that's the next step in the evolution for Drake. How do I not only master what we're doing in the pass game, but in the run game, so that I could get up here and make sure we're in the right run to the right side, whatever. If they're doing, there's a million ways that you can check the runs and get them in, but that's just the evolution, and then that allows you to be more aggressive because you're more confident in the totality of the game plan, which is what I think Harbaugh has done such a phenomenal job, and Keegan O'Hara in that room is the whole offense is built around what do we do best. It's molding, and that's what Coach Fleck has done by bringing these good players and giving these coaches freedom to do it and his input. It's, what can we do best? And when you're Drake, it's, we could throw the ball up 50 times a game, and maybe there'll be games where they're doing that, but it's the totality because you never know what scheme or what thing will pop off for you. Like in RPOs in 2019, for example, we knew it was going to be a big part, but we didn't know it was going to be that big of a thing. Well, it all worked together, our run game and the RPO game and the drop back game. It all was a blend. Yeah. So it's not just one specific thing that you're building around, it's totality. And Harbaugh and Keegan O'Hara are going to build Drake to be the best quarterback he can be. Getting in the right run check is a huge part of that. And then that allows him to play more confidently, which then guess what? Allows him to take more shots down the field. Right? And as he knows the offense better, he's going to know his chances, his choices of when to take the shot, when to take the check down, just basically giving him more freedom to do what he does best. And obviously we know he can throw the ball over the yard, but I can't wait to see him just continue in that. And you see his leadership, like when you're at practice, right? And you see it in the games. Like I think there was a point last year where it kind of, he took a huge step of like, this is Drake's team. And that's what I'm excited about. And, he's got high expectations, and people are putting him on high mock drafts already because you see the talent. Yeah. But that is clearly not his focus. His focus on being the best teammate and player he can be. And I took that in a million ways, but the run check question, there's a lot of things when it goes at the quarterback position, especially in the offense that they're handing him the keys to run. And so it's not just be aggressive, throw the ball more. It's be aggressive, get us into the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, and the balance there between you've got a quarterback that the coaches clearly love, you've got a running game that the coaches clearly love. So where is the balance? Generally, do you think? And it's easy for a radio guy or a fan sitting in wherever that's a diehard that thinks they follow it closely, and they're you got to throw 40 times a game. And like you say, maybe that's true. Do you think generally, though, this offense has to shift to a little more aggressive, maybe throw a little more to set things up? Or how do you view it?
I personally really don't. And I think it's really like you look holistically and like where do you want to be as a program and team? Well, you want to own the line of scrimmage. You want to dominate there. You want to dominate the time of possession. But more importantly, you want to dominate that 78%, right?
Yeah.
That turnover margin and all those things. And being more aggressive means being more aggressive in the run game too. It doesn't mean just dropping back and throwing the ball 45 times.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when teams are too reliant and they have to be at 35-plus pass attempts, you might not be built for the long-haul run in this conference. I say that with a huge grain of salt because there's teams who have done it and been extremely successful. What I do know about this conference is if you don't have a running game, you have no shot.
It's hard, yeah.
It's impossible to do and kind of maximize the potential of your guys. It's true in the SEC now, for sure. Historically was for a long time, shifted, but it's true.
Yeah.
You have to have a running game. In the Big Ten Conference, if you have no running game, you have no shot.
Yeah.
And so, we can talk about being more aggressive, but there's a focus and has to be on what can we do in the run game. And there's such great talent here and great coaching. And, Brian Callahan has developed I don't know how many NFL offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Mo Ibrahim is going to develop who knows how many elite running backs. I mean, the guy is a superstar. He's one of my best friends, and I love him, and I can talk about him all day. And Greg Harbaugh's done such a good job. And so it's how do you mend it all together? Yeah, it's exciting to see 40-plus passes, but sometimes those 40-plus passes, if we're being honest, is because you get behind in a game and you have to play catch-up. That's not how anybody wants to go and win games. So when I think aggressive, again, an outsider's perspective, former player, I think it's both. And I think they have the talent to do both. And some games it might be 40-plus attempts. Some games it might be 20. Who knows? But can they do both?
Yeah.
Yes. Can Drake throw 50 times a game? Yes. But you have to be able to be aggressive in the run game and pass game, in my opinion.
And PJ's often said that that balance to him doesn't mean 50-50, 40 passes, 40 runs, and it'd be more like 25 passes, 20.
Yeah.
It's if you have to pass to win, then you have to have that ability, and when you have to run to win, you have to have that ability, and you hope you do. And frankly, there were times last year where the run game just didn't hit where you wanted. I think up front were just not the standard that. I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't. It wasn't elevated. I think they've addressed some of that stuff for this fall, and hopefully that matters. I think back to 2019 and the balance, and we talk about it. You had 30-plus touchdown passes, and see, I've talked about this a lot. Let's see if my memory's right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: early in the year, a couple of escape by the skin of your teeth, the fourth or the 3rd and 30 with Georgia Southern, and the Fresno with Chris Altman-Bell, the great catch, but the running game was going. We go to Purdue. And it looked to me like they said, we're going to make Mr. Number 2, Tanner Morgan, beat us. And so they stacked the box. We're not going to give up 100 to Muhammad. And I guess at that point it was also Rodney and Shannon Brooks too, right, in that mix. And you went, 21 for 22 or 22 or 23, 390-something, and 4 touchdowns. And all of a sudden it's like, they got a quarterback who can throw, and that's the balance you're probably talking about. The very next week, if I remember right, Illinois was okay. They weren't great. But they're all of a sudden coming out in a nickel because you just dropped 394 on Purdue,
right?
And the Gophers end up with 400-plus rushing yards, right? And so that's right. That's the beauty, and that's what the magic of that season was. You could run and throw, and all of a sudden, how do you defend it? Because if we're going to stack, you're going to throw it. If you're going to play a nickel, then we'll just bulldoze you with Falele and Blaze Andrews and the rest of that group.
Yeah, it's whatever it takes, right? And so, that was true about that team. But, if you looked at us, the way that specific team was built, the games where we threw the ball 30-plus times at Iowa, the passing game was efficient. We weren't efficient in the red zone.
Yeah.
And we didn't run the ball particularly well that specific day, and we didn't win the football game.
Yeah.
right? No, we could get into the whole.
Well,
Iowa
that whole script flipped because Iowa kicked 1,000,000 field goals all year.
Yep.
And then they get in the red zone and score touchdowns. We barely kicked a field goal most of the year, and then we got stuck with
Settling
field
for
goals.
3, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think, there was times else in my career where we relied too heavy on the run game, where we couldn't get a lot of stuff going. In 21 at times and 20 at times too, where it was like, man, So I think aggressive. I think they've done such a good job here being aggressive in both. It's just, to the fan, it's not just throw the ball more. It's they're working really hard to set everything up for a reason.
Yeah.
And you don't have a generational type of back and a generational type of quarterback and not maximize them. And I think they're doing that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm super excited to see what Harbaugh and Fleck and Keegan and Kaler and Frickty and Callie, all the guys, right, Mo, what they build up for this team, because it'll be exciting. You never know.
Drake Lindsay, let me ask you this, because you had a good freshman year. In fact, I just saw, I think within the last week, they tweeted out the Bateman, Indiana. That was a Friday night game, right?
It was,
I think Friday night touchdown to seal it. I don't know how true the story is, but the legend is that Shiraka said, "You want to end it now?" And PJ said, "Sure," and so he calls the play. I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes for a great story, and you guys hit it. Anyway, that play flashes. So you have a good freshman year, and then the next year is the magical 2019 year. Yep. So Drake Lindsay, pretty good freshman year. What is it like from year one? All right, I got some games under my belt. I kind of know what the rigors of the Big Ten are. What did you do between year one as a starter, year two as a starter, and what do you think Drake Lindsay's going through now? Because the pressure builds, right? I mean, you're seeing, as you mentioned, mock drafts, and people think you're going to be great. But you also you got a plate of whatever in front of you, and the coaches are trying to feed you as much as you can take. So what is that growth? Was that your biggest growth between year one and year two?
Yeah, certainly, I think. Yeah. I think there's a couple things. One, for me, like fundamentally, I realized I have a lot to get better at, and that's where I sought outside help, sought help inside the program. Like, I really need to get better at these things. And I think Drake's done that for a long time now, right? And now when you look at comparatively what Drake's doing, is there's so many things that he's investing in himself, right? Like, he's investing in being the best version of himself.
Right.
That's what's important. And that's holistically as an athlete, but as a person too. And so, for me, it was important because here's the difference. I was still competing to win the job again. Yeah. Drake's not.
Yeah, true. That's true.
I still had to go win the job. Yeah. And so there was that urgency, but there always is as a high, competitor. But you know what it's like. You've experienced a full season of road games, and here's how I felt. Here's how I had to do this. I didn't really feel great. Here's where I need to get better. But you've kind of been there, done that.
Yeah.
Not like you've achieved or arrived, but you have that experience. And then you take that experience with the true data of what you need to get better at, and you go apply it into what the offseason needs to be so that you can get your desired outcome of the player you want to be the next season. So there's just a different level of confidence, I think.
Yeah.
I think specifically like a bowl game, for example. In 2018, I had no idea what that was like. Well, then you go to 19, you're like, well, yeah, we usually do X, Y, Z. Here's how it is. You have you don't have to worry that kind of brain matter on what is it like. You know what it is. And so I think Drake, going from year one to year two, it's obviously a big jump. Who knows what he can do? I mean, I'm not going to put any other external expectations on him. Those are already sky high.
Right.
But he can be such a good player. He's got the right team around him, and he's done that. I think that's really important, is making sure, where do I need to get better? How do I put the right people around me? And how do I go and attack it throughout an entire offseason?
With and you mentioned even earlier in chatting here that it looks like there is a point now where he is comfortable with, this is my team now.
Mm-hmm.
He watched Brosmer for that year, had a year now playing, and it's clearly he's the guy that's running the show now.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's so evident. Even watching, the spring game, pretty evident this guy. Yeah. This is his team, and I think that's so important. Not that there's not other phenomenal leaders like a Maverick Baranowski and Anthony Smith and Darius. I'd be amiss to. There's a million great leaders here. I think that's one of the things PJ Fleck does, is he develops great leaders, elite leaders, elite leaders. Yeah. But it's evident to me that Drake knows, like, this is my team. Yeah. Just again from an outsider's perspective, and I think the way that he approaches that and his own uniqueness is what's important, because when you try to be somebody you're not and you're a phony,
Yeah.
For good reasons, people are like, oh, that's not really who you are. When you lead authentically and how you were created to be, you're right in your sweet spot. And I'm excited to see, man. I can't wait. I'm fired up.
Yeah. You mentioned that part of it just sprung in my mind, that's PJ Fleck in a nutshell too, right? I think outsiders watch him because he's got a certain style and they think that can't be real. But to create the leadership skills that he has in you guys and players, and you mentioned you develop elite leaders, that's exactly it. It's so authentic. He is who he is. He never changes. He's got a plan. And when I say he never changes, I mean he's adjusted a lot over the years.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm saying he did the principles, the pillars at which he's built the program, those haven't changed since you were a freshman, right?
It's the dinosaur quote that he's had. We're like a dinosaur, but a cool dinosaur, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing, right? The pillars of what make you special, have to stay the same. There's other things that you have to adapt to in the landscape of any business or any program, right? Like if you're it's the Blockbuster Netflix thing. Blockbuster, we're going to be Blockbuster forever. Well, then you go, you get a chance to buy Netflix, you turn it down. Well, now you don't exist anymore.
It's over,
right? Well, besides our one store in Alaska, I think that's still alive, right? But I think he's done such a good job of keeping the pillars the same, but adapting into the landscape to make it. And that's one of his gifts, man, is he develops elite leaders. And so, like, if you're a Drake Lindsay, like, you're going to get I thought about this recently of, like, when he does his leadership talks during training camp, over 6 years, like, how many you heard? 30 to, 25 on average per training camp. Like, that's a lot of leadership lessons just in training camp alone, not the entirety of a season, that I got instilled in me to go and translate into every area of my life, and some of these leadership guys that are similar to kind of coach's level of leadership. They're not cheap to bring in and give leadership to you, right? So I think about it, man, I got to learn from one of the best leaders in the country that many times just in that setting from the way that he delivers something. And so when you're Drake Lindsay, he's going to pull that leadership out of him, Coach Fleck, and make Drake the best leader that Drake is, not the mold of what a book says you have to be as a leader, but who Drake is as a leader and how God created him to be. Yeah,
that's exactly right. That's one of the things that irritates me a little bit. And I get it. PJ even says, hey, I'm not for everybody and all that. And clearly, if you're a fan of a rival team, you know, nobody likes the other coach, no matter who it is. But to me, the idea that, this guy, he's I don't even know, what it is, a gimmick or whatever.
Right.
There are some shticky parts of what he does, but it's all because sometimes shtick works for 20-year-olds, and that's what you remember. And there's a binder of stuff that you guys go through, but there's nothing phony about it. Like this is like, to me, a phony is someone who's just kind of skating through, faking it. Like what I have seen is that PJ Fleck does. He requires more of his team and more of himself than maybe look, every coach works hard and they put in all kinds of hours, but you could slide by without doing all of what he's doing, what you just talked about, all these leadership things. But there's more effort that goes into that. There's more work. There's more expectation. And so there's nothing that's fake or phony about that. Again, if you don't think the style's your cup of tea, beautiful, move on. But don't say, he's just some sort of a phony fraud.
Right.
No. That everything. I mean, he is who he is. He's exactly who he is. But anyway, I digress. But we went down that road. All right. So, how much fun do you have, or did you have doing the spring football game? You've done a few games on TV now.
Yeah.
Are we hopefully going to see maybe a little more
we'll see.
of that?
I think those are conversations that we're having right now. Kind of behind the scenes. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
What opportunities come. I enjoy it. It's fun, and it's easy for me to talk about people I love too.
Yeah.
Right. So getting to do Gopher games it's awesome. It's a blast. It's fun getting to prepare for a game. You've done radio way harder than TV. I think I've never done radio, but you got to really paint the picture to people, and you're so gifted at that. It's awesome to hear, right? Where you're on TV, people see the play. You got to codify it to make it make sense to them while you're telling a story of the game, story of players, all that. But I think what I love about it is, one, I love football, and I fell in love with football at a young age, partly because of watching great players on TV, watching Matt Leinart, watching, Vince Young, the USC Texas era, Reggie Bush, and at the University of Kentucky, watching all those guys, growing up a UK fan, you fall in love with the stories behind the game and what the game is. And it's cool on the broadcast side of it, of just you're painting a picture of the players, the game, and you're helping tell a story to football fans.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. It's fun. So we'll see, where God opens up opportunities, but at least I wasn't brutal at it, right?
That was great. You were awesome.
So yeah, man, we'll see. I think the Big Ten Network and Fox 9 here have been good to me, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you're still hopefully going to be part of some of the pregame with Guardsy and Ron Johnson.
Yeah. Those are great guys, and JG and.
Well, let's not
Pierre
go carried away with JG, but the rest of that, no, I'm just kidding.
Guardsy knows ball, man. Guardsy knows ball, and there was one that was hilarious. You go back and find the clip. I think it was maybe in Eugene, maybe.
Yeah.
And Goldie was giving Guardsy the time of his life. I mean, like harassing him during his
he was
bit.
doing his
doing his bit. And it was so hard to not just die laughing of and Guardsy, did his thing, and he's awesome. Clearly, he's really good at what he does. I think here in Minnesota it's cool to see, K-Fan is so big in what it is.
Yeah.
And the different media markets from the Vikings and Gophers, just how can we tell the story of these teams and these players, and in a positive light, share insight into what's going on and create more buzz around what these great programs are doing.
I think what you and Guardsy and Pierre do the best is pulling Ron Johnson into talking about his career, because he never likes to do that. He never talks about his own playing career, but you guys really have to pull that out.
Yeah, I played the fifth. Ron Johnson, Southwest Christian High School girls football flag team. Yeah. I don't think they made it to the tournament, but Ron did a great job. Yeah. Great school there. So.
And Ron knows. That's kind of a running bit with everybody. Yeah. Ron likes to tell everybody how the records he set, and rightfully so. The guy was one of the all-time great receivers. But it's always good to poke a little fun at him. And he usually pops into the radio booth during the game. We'll give a fist bump and chat, and just a great dude and knows his football. Yeah, he diagram. You guys diagram that stuff up. It's really cool. Your family continues to grow. Tell us, give us an update on that.
Yeah. I've got two. My wife and I, blessed with a great wife. We've got 2 girls, almost 3, almost 1.
Yeah.
So summer with them is just a blast. It's great. This morning was helping my daughter ride her bike for the first time. We're not quite there yet. Yeah. It's a process-driven family. But
training wheels still on?
It was the first time with the training wheels of really getting out of her other kind of little tricycle where I pushed her. So, but she's a blast.
And this is a 3-year-old, not the 1-year-old. That'd be a trick there. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and offer her already. If that was the case. No. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get into the girls flag thing eventually.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
That's growing. Nebraska has now already added women's. I guess it'd be women's flag football. So, who knows if the Gophers down the road will do that. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Big Ten championships in women's flag football not too far from now.
Tell Coyle I'm available.
You're ready. Yeah, you're ready to go.
It would be cool. I think it's cool for the development of football. Like the Vikings do such a good job here with girls flag. They have their championship here June 8th. It just creates more buzz around the game of football, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's now, I think it's cool too, because it wasn't a stigma, but back in the day, girls just didn't play football. Mm-hmm. Well, why not? There is no good reason, so let them go. Right?
It's so fun watching girls that are super athletic compete in football, because there's some really good football being played in the 5-on-5 or the 7-on-7 flag stuff. I love it. I think it's going to just continue to grow, and I think eventually it's going to skyrocket. And in Minnesota, and what's awesome at the high school level is you see coaches, the high school head coach coaching the flag team. Yeah. Like at Edina, Jason Potts.
Yeah, Rosemount too, I think, right?
Rosemount, right? Yeah. And then they're coaching the Tell me that's not good for a community.
It's awesome.
Come on.
Because that validates the whole thing, right? I mean, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of a high school, I would say boys football coach now. You would never say that before, but you do now, would just poo-poo it and say, well, you guys go do your thing. But to get actively involved and grow it, one, I'll bet you most of those coaches have daughters and understand the importance of it. And two, let's move on with that. I had a chance this week to spend some time with some of my colleagues in the Big Ten and around the country. They came into town for we had some fellowship and some golf. And one of those guys was Wes Durham, who does the ACC games. Yep. He did the Pinstripe Bowl on ESPN when you came off the bench and Mariano what's the guy's name from the Yankees, the closer.
Rivera.
Yeah, Rivera. Mariano Rivera. Anyway, you came off the bench and closed the game for the Golden Gophers just like he did. He was in town, and part of it, he's doing play-by-play in Indianapolis either later this month or in July for the National Boys and Girls Flag Football. The NFL awesome. Puts it on. I think it was in Canton last year in Indianapolis, and so he was talking about, he's starting to get the info coming in, 16-year-old championship, 12-year-old championship, and those games will be nationally televised on ESPN, so that's pretty cool.
Sweet, man. Any way to grow the game.
No doubt. Let me talk about a sponsor here real quick. We're going to talk OnX Fishing. It's time now as the weather's warming up. We're into June to get on the water and do some fishing, and for the best bite, we invite you to use the OnX Fish app from OnX Maps. OnX Fish is your pre-trip cheat code. Before you even pull the boat out of the garage, you can sort by lake species, trophy, and keeper potential, so you're not guessing. You go into your fishing trip with a plan. And this spring into summer means new water. Don't waste the trip. Use OnX Fish to filter for walleye, bass, panfish, whatever you're chasing, and see species abundance, size data, recent info, so you actually know what's on and in the lake before you launch. Download OnX Fish on the App Store or visit onxmaps.com/fish. Spring and summer fishing is now here. Go fish the lake you've been driving by for years, and finally find out if it's worth the launch.
Know what the happiest bird is? Chicken. Cub fried chicken. Wait, let me rephrase that. Know what bird makes people happiest? Cub fried chicken. Crispy, crunchy, juicy, perfectly seasoned. It's the kind of chicken that disappears faster than you can say, 8-piece, please. Or, let's be real, maybe 12-piece. Because when it comes to fried chicken, more just means more happy. So if you're shopping chicken, shop Cub Fried Chicken and shop happy.
Hey Gopher fans, Bobby Durkin here from Minnesota Men's Basketball. In our program, championship culture is built on toughness, trust, and showing up every day to do the work. That's why I'm proud to support the True North family of companies. True North invests in elite teams, like the championship team at True North Mergers and Acquisitions, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and their family of independently owned companies, visit thetruenorthfamily.com. That's how champions are built.
It's episode 223. We missed by a week to have 222, which would have been awesome with number 2 in the house. But fair enough, 223 here with Tanner Morgan. We're talking football. Fun to hear about the family and the bike riding and the training wheels and all of that stuff. But you have a lot going on. Mm-hmm. Give us, let's start with your full-time job is now with Uncommon Ministry, related with Tony Dungy, right? Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, man, it's really cool. I get to learn from the best, put it that way. Tony, so Uncommon Ministry, we build uncommon leaders, right? And that's in the marketplace and that's in sports as well. So, Brian Slipka's on our team, right?
He's our guy, True North, baby.
Slipka's the guy. And then I've been able to learn from Tom Lamphere, who's been chaplain for Gopher Wrestling, Vikings, Twins, you name it, he's probably done it. And now spends a lot of his time with a lot of NFL coaches with Tony. And so I get to learn from those guys, be around football in that way, and the ministry side of things. And then on the marketplace, we kind of partnered up with Morning Drive, which we had Adam Thielen and Michael E. Jordan of Unreal out at our last one. We're doing quarterly events to encourage men in life, faith, and leadership, right? Encourage and equip them. That's been fun, man. Just wherever really kind of realized got kind of that pioneering spirit, and wherever God opens up doors, let's run through it full speed ahead. And so really part of that has been just being able to learn from these phenomenal people in all different aspects and walks of life that have kind of poured into me. And, that's been great. Some speaking stuff's come out of that, whether that's in, team setting, church setting, company setting. And that's been fun, right, to inspire people in. And I got to listen to PJ a lot and realize how do you pull people in and understand, what's the one takeaway, what's the message. So that's been fun to figure that out. But I get to learn from the best, and I get to be around great people who want the best for me. And man, I can't say enough great things about that. And then we got a lot of other stuff going on as well. QB Motion's great, training quarterbacks. There's a lot of, I think we've seen recently, even from this last Gopher camp, there's phenomenal quarterback play here in the state of Minnesota. Cupido's son got
Yeah.
offered. He's a baller.
8th grader.
A baller, right? We've got a lot of great quarterbacks here in the state. And so being able to be around those guys, and this year we've got a lot of, kids out Lakeville and Shakopee, Edina, Minnetonka, Wayzata, a lot of places, getting to Maple Grove, getting to see them play each other some of these Friday nights is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. It's got me really bought into Minnesota football here and to develop and coach, in a way that's different than maybe I thought I would have 4 years ago, but in a way that's still making an impact on these young men's lives. And that's what it's about. It's a vehicle of football and quarterback play, that I get to inspire and equip men into, these young men and to their passions and desires through the game of football. Love it. And so, whether that's in quarterback play, whether that's in ministry or even through pro men athletics, we've got this league coming up that's really been really sweet. It's our second year. It's called the Tanner Morgan 7-on-7 League. I did not come up with the name. Just put a disclaimer out there. But it's youth 7-on-7 associations only right before the season starts, 6th through 9th grade. We got one at St. Michael, one at Edina. And last year we got to see some teams who, you get to practice. It's four weeks of running your offensive plays. You've been in youth sports. You realize that time together is invaluable.
Yeah.
And being able, what's a knock on Minnesota football for a long time has been, the quarterback play's not great. Oh, really? Jet Feeney committed to the Gophers. He's a great player. So, but how can we help youth football develop their passing game even more? And so this is just a tool that we've developed to help teams do that right before their season starts. So then the best part is they have their whole passing game installed before week 1. You want an advantage for the fall season? I think this is a way to do it.
So Pro Men Athletics is what it's called.
ProMNathletics.com. It's called the Tanner Morgan 7-on-7 League that you can find through there. So that's a shameless plug.
And that's
for
a 4-week.
4-week July. The first week of August is the last one. So we start after July 4th.
And you said 9th grade?
6th grade through 9th grade.
Yeah.
Actually, I lied. We have a 5th grade division too.
Yeah.
But it's filling up. We got a lot of teams already involved. We got it.
But you're still open if someone's listening and says we might have
we've
some
got
youth
some
teams,
openings. We got some more teams committed today. We've got a couple of Lakeville North teams as well. Let's go.
Very good. Yeah, my neighborhood.
North or none, as some would say. Don't want to upset the South people, but
Nathan Bowe, right?
Nathan Bowe, that's right, baby.
It's our guy. How can people get info or if they want to register for this?
Yeah, for that, just go to www.promnathletics.com.
ProMNathletics.com.
And you'll see it right there on the website.
And QB Motion is related to that, but it's still a separate entity.
Correct. Yeah, QB Motion is the full quarterback development only. We do some receiver stuff with coaches in the area. That's been great, but that's a quarterback thing only. That's what I started doing right when I got out of organized football, I guess you could say, right away. And it's been cool to see what's evolved. And we've got other coaches that are doing a phenomenal job through that as well.
And with that, how much satisfaction do you get out of just mentoring young people?
Yeah, dude, it's fun. I think you get to walk them through an area of life that is really important to them. It's important to me, but the football piece is it's great. I get to stay involved in coaching and stay up to cue on offensive trends and, offensive trends and the quarterback play specifically that helps, these young men. But it's so much more than that because you're pouring into them from a holistic standpoint through the vehicle of football.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where great satisfaction comes. And so, I love it, man. I get to playgrounds of the pros, help people, whether it's in ministry or it's in football specifically. God's just been unique in those different avenues of life.
With QB Motion, what's the ages then you're working with?
Yeah,
with that
so
group?
we've got youth up to a few college guys, but primarily that high school is our range.
Yeah.
We've got youth sessions. We've got, we're doing 2 youth camps this summer in June, one in Chaska, one in Maple Grove, and so we've got a lot of quarterbacks signed up for that. There's a few openings. I'm not plugging my.
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel that. But
you
no,
can plug all you want.
Yeah, it's cool. Man, if that's a way to impact people and people want it, let's do it.
With QB Motion, is faith involved there too? Do you?
Nope. That's
football
quarterback
kind of
play only. But I am who I am.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I'm not gonna
osmosis.
That's
can
right.
Work.
That's
right.
Because
take me through. We could do a whole podcast, and I know you and PA have done a podcast on faith and all of that. So we don't have to dive deep into it. But early on in your time here, it became evident to everybody that was important. And I even think, right, you met your wife kind of that's
Yeah,
how you guys hit it
for
off
sure.
was through faith. So
Yeah.
how did that become important, and how cool is it here with Uncommon Ministry with Tony Dungy and that group that really relies on faith as the basis?
Well, absolutely. I think so often in life, for me, I grew up in a faith setting, but coming to college, you got to figure stuff out for your own. And I got around good people early on, and that helped me. Some great mentors, Mel Jones, who's the chaplain here at the U, and Luke Minnendorf, who was here for a while, really poured into me. And what I've realized is I made football an idol. So football is a wonderful game, but it's a terrible identity.
Yeah.
Right? And you could say that about anything. You could remove football, put your thing there. And so I worshiped football as like what was my sense of identity, what was my sense of gratification, and the things that basically my performance is what I identified myself with, which is a scary place to be, not as a football player, but as a human being. And so God really had to mess some things up in my life. And so I believe, where your attention is, that's the direction of your life. And so often we're focused on the destination and not where our attention's set. And so for me, if I put my attention on Jesus, helping me, how do I become more like him? Not in a weird way, but if that's my attention, the direction that I go in life will be wherever he intends me to go. The visions, the dreams he gives me will be the things that he's implanted into me uniquely to do. And so I view my life as there's all these different, we talked about a lot of stuff, and that can make a lot of people like, whoa, what's going on? How can you be good in those different things, or you're doing too much? To me, I view it as right now, look, God's given me different balls to juggle. If I can influence people through these different lanes and vehicles for the glory of him, let's go do it. Yeah. So faith is not only important to me, it's who I am. I believe when I gave my life to Christ, that Galatians 2:20 says, my life's not my own anymore. It's Christ who lives in and through me. And so it's been really cool for me to see some of the players and just conversations I had when I was a player, and now what we're doing through the ministry and all the other things, how that's come up in not a forceful way at all. Because truthfully, that is who I am.
Yeah.
It's not like I tell people all the time, don't let a title become an idol. The title of quarterback at the University of Minnesota, or you could say winning as quarterback, right? Or we could even say, Grimmy, the single season record holder or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Drake Lindsay breaks those records. I don't want to put expectations on him, but he's far more than capable. Well, if that was a title that I clung on to, that's an idol, then what happens when those go away?
Yeah.
What happens when I'm no longer the quarterback? Man, I'm in despair. I don't know who I am without this thing. And so for me, that transition from football was fairly easy. It was more like, where do you want to send me, Lord? And I'm still open to wherever God goes, right? That's what's fun.
There's paths
everywhere,
everywhere,
but it's like, hey, I'm not going to let a title or a label be what is the only thing I can do, right?
Yeah.
You do a lot of things behind the mic for different people, and you're phenomenal at what you do. One of the best in the world at your thing. But if you just did basketball, right? Well, no, like you basketball, football, podcast, all these different things. You could throw you out on a horse racing. You'd be great. Canterbury, I don't know what. Right?
We'll leave that to PA. But
yeah,
yes,
no, right? PA, same way.
Same way,
you're very gifted in different ways. And to close the loop on that, I just think, man, a title is great, but it can be gone in the snap of a finger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer the quarterback at the University of Minnesota. I'm very grateful for my time, but if that's what my true identity was, I would really struggle when that was taken away.
Yeah.
And I think we see that in athletics. We see that in business all the time. People who cling on to a thing as who they are, not what they do. And when it's gone, they're in despair, not grief of the last season or what it was, because that's who they identified themselves as a human being as what they did. And who they were, they can't separate the two things. So that's what I'm super passionate about. That's where God really convicted me early on, and now I get to share with people about that through different vehicles. It's been cool.
Sounds like content but driven, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you
it's
are.
It's a great way to codify it.
All right, so let's go down memory lane for a few minutes before we let everybody off the hook here on the Go Gopher Podcast, episode 223. Let's go to 2018. We mentioned you got the opportunity, first real chance down in Lincoln, right?
Yep.
In 2018, and then from that point, really never let the foot off the gas. The Bateman, was that the very next week?
Very next week.
Next week. So your first start, you hit the Bateman bomb that we talked about that Shiraka asked PJ if he wanted to end the game, as the legend goes, and that was that. And then you end up in the bowl game and we knew Muhammad was good, but that was maybe the coming out party for Muhammad Ibrahim in that one against Georgia Tech. And then what do you remember most about that season where you're competing with Zach for the starting job? It doesn't go your way at the start of the season, and then you just keep plugging away and you get your chance.
For sure. Yeah, I think a couple things. One, I think from a game standpoint, in Madison, first time we win the Axe in 15 years, was awesome. Right? Nobody expected us to win that game, right? Yeah. But I think that was a season that set up success for the future of the program, specifically 2019 and beyond, because we were fighting. Like we'd have a great week, play bad. I'd have a great week, I'd play horrible, right? We were just always on that edge of continuing to push until it kind of felt like that breakthrough came in Madison. Right, which
I think even the Purdue game, right?
True. That game was freezing.
You get hammered at Illinois the week before, right? And it's like, man, I didn't think PJ was, later. This wasn't like the next week, but maybe later in that summer, or maybe it was even after 2019 season. Like, we come back from Illinois, and I'm thinking, do I got to put my house up for sale? As I think PJ was his quote, probably only half joking, but you just don't know. And in all my time here. That next week, because Purdue has David Blau, they're contending for the West.
Who's the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders?
It's crazy,
now,
right?
Which is wild in his third year in coaching.
But
we also hired Joe Rossi. That was his.
That was the switch,
right?
Yeah.
Illinois, Rob Smith, who's a great coach, gets let go. Joe Rossi comes in and he takes over, right? So it was kind of that change of, and to see people rally around. We don't need to get into that. He's a different Big Ten school now, but there was it was fighting, consistent,
100%
resistance.
To me, that game. That Purdue game, because of where Purdue was, was Purdue. I'm trying to remember, when did they beat Ohio State? Was that year or was that the next year? I can't remember. But anyway, they were kind of that game. No one. Wisconsin was a little different. We were an underdog, but that Purdue game, nobody thought.
Correct.
And you put 40 on them. Yeah. Cashman had the scoop and score.
And score. Tyler played great. It was that constant back and forth. Illinois, we got, they dominated the game through and through. And then you go to Purdue, and then Northwestern.
Which they end up, did they win?
Northwestern won. Yeah. Clayton Thorson, they won the West that year. They put it to us.
But you guys, it wasn't you guys were in it.
No, we were in it, but they definitely won the game.
Yeah.
And we didn't give ourselves any favors, and then,
Then Wisconsin.
Right after Northwestern, going into Wisconsin, and it's like, all right, Bryce Williams rips off a big run, Demetrius Douglas punt return. But that was when it was like, man. But to me, there's a couple of this is college football moments. That's one of them, because you see that drive back. And I didn't grow up in Minnesota, right? Yeah. So I knew how important the Axe was, but you don't really know until you experience it. And we're pulling up into the
right out
facility,
here,
and it's like, whoa,
yeah,
there are loads of people in this indoor. And it's the day after, 2 days after Thanksgiving. This is a big deal. Penn State's one of those as well, obviously. Yeah. So I think you realize, man, that was a moment where it was kind of a breakthrough for us. Now, there was obviously resistance after that, but it was just consistent fighting, and then bam, wow, okay, we're bowl eligible to beat Wisconsin. And then
beat Georgia Tech. And that set up that great 2019. Yeah, I think that Wisconsin 2018 game is a top 3 or 4 game of my time here, just personally, because it had been so long, and quite frankly, a lot of those games hadn't been that competitive, and the ones that were just excruciating losses, and a few teases here and there. There were a couple in Jerry Kill's tenure that if you won it, you'd win the West, and a couple of those teased you because they had leads at halftime, and then, in fact, one of those was a pretty good-sized lead at halftime, and so all of a sudden you're just like, is this ever going to happen? So, and then, to me, the beauty was you got to the fourth quarter, you had put the game away, and so there was this euphoric 8 to 12-minute stretch where you're just like, this feels pretty dang good.
Looking at Connor Rhoda, who was a quarterback, from Cretin-Derham Hall, who helped me tremendously in my career and kind of took me under his wing, and I'm like, whoa. Rhoda's right there.
Yeah.
Rode a boat.
In the stands, right?
Literally in the almost base. It felt like he was in the end zone, but he was right in that first line. Yeah. And then he's on the field with us after the game, and it was cool. And you get to see all the the Gopher fans.
It was great.
Yeah,
that was a fun day. And then in 2019, I mean, there's so many things you can talk about. We talked about the 3rd and 30, the 4th and whatever it was against Georgia Southern. The Chris Altman-Bell size, whatever it was, 13 shoe.
Yeah.
Thank gosh it wasn't 15 shoe or whatever at Fresno. And then you start reeling off all these wins in the Penn State game, the Bateman, opening salvo touchdown. Take me through that play. I remember having Shiraka on this.
Yeah.
You've probably talked about it on this podcast as well. It was a check. You got the look you wanted.
It was a play like we had a bye week, and it's like, man, how do we figure out the simulated blitz, which are way more popular now than they were in 2019? And they took the free safety. He went all the way over to play the field half and cover 2, and the boundary corner would play, and they would bring 2 off from the field side, which left a huge opening, which means a guy on the boundary hash, the short side of the field, had to run all the way over and play the other half of the field from the goalpost to the sideline. Yeah. Well, we didn't know how to find it until he found a specific cue that found it, and whatever the play was, we would check to slice, and then. You see the first drive, and it's like, let's do it. And who happens to be out there? Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Cool. And literally by a yard.
The throw was feathered in there perfect.
The spot was supposed to be at like 11 yards. I think I threw it at like 16.
Yeah.
So
gave that guy a little bit.
We were pushing it a little bit, but that was one of those moments.
And Brooks, picks up the blitz.
Yep. Shannon puts his nose right on the edge player, and it was the perfect moment of preparation and performance, which started from digesting the film and knowing when you needed to go do it.
Yeah, what a play. And that was one of the favorite plays of my time. And that the call where I said the place has gone nuclear is probably the call that people reference the most of my time.
A lot of videos.
Here. Yeah, and it just was a spur of the moment. It just popped in my head.
Is that on shirts yet, Grimmy?
No, I don't need that.
Come on, I need to wear one of those.
We don't need to
Thursday,
put that on.
At the bank when EIU comes into town.
Yeah, we better
Dinky
not.
Town athletes.
Yeah,
Let's
go.
Come on. Well, I guess. Whatever. Great.
One of my favorite moments of that year, and it was big at the time, and it should never be forgotten. I've joked sometimes about people say, "What's your favorite play as an announcer?" And the Bateman play often comes up. There's some other plays over the years, but my favorite play. I believe I'm probably the only announcer in the history of football, pro or college or high school, whatever, who maybe my favorite play of my entire career was a hold on an extra point. Right? So you think about the game at Rutgers, and Casey O'Brien gets to hold. He makes the trip, and it was in essence a meaningless point because you guys are blowing them out. It was, I think the final was like 42-7 or 42-14, whatever it was. But that represented a little bit of what that team was about. Yeah. We know Casey's story. I actually just saw him a few weeks ago. He's still doing well. His dad, Dan, got a knee replacement, so he's not doing as well with that right knee, but he'll fight through that. We know
he's getting those Johnnies ready.
Getting those Johnnies ready, sure. Dan O'Brien. But anyway, think about that. A PAT, no big deal, but it was such a big deal, and it was really the heartbeat of that whole season.
For sure. Yeah, I think you codified that beautifully. Like it is on the outside, it's 42-7, but it's what that Casey meant to the team, to the state, to the country, but what it meant to his story and overcoming adversity and how many lives that's changed. We have no idea how many people have been influenced by his story and that never give up mentality.
The kid raised $1 million for a hospital.
Yeah,
right?
and they're still doing great
and
things.
And he's still doing great things.
And so, on the outside, it was a PAT, but it's way bigger than that. And maybe a lot of people's story are similar. It's just, maybe I'm just this, but you have the opportunity to influence so many more people than you might think.
Yeah, that was just a cool moment and one of my favorites to see him. There's been a few times where the play, whatever it was, and you just, as you know, in a position like mine, I get to know guys like you, and it's fun. Like we hadn't seen each other in person since the spring game. We give a hug out in the hallway before we come in here. For an old guy like me, it's kept me kind of young to watch this and the energy that it gives. But that said, you see people that you want to do well. Like you're just. Like I want the Gophers to win, not just because I think I want the Gophers to win, because I see the work that you guys all put into it, whatever the sport is, and I know that it's meaningful. So I like it. That was that was the closest I came to choking up during a call where I almost had to swallow the words because I didn't know what to say. But I was proud that I was able to keep it out because I just know that family is so strong, and I know the struggles that they've gone through. And so anyway, it was pretty cool. I like that, and that was one of my favorite parts of the 2019 season. We get to Tampa, and right off the bat, the Gophers go down. Was it? I'm trying to remember. Was it a kick return? Did they return a kick? Anyway, but
they threw a pick early. I definitely
maybe that was it. That was it. There you go. So you throw a pick early, and then all of a sudden there's a recovery, and then you hit a couple of impressive touchdowns to Tyler, the go-ahead touchdown. But before that was that right before halftime? The jump ball that we all thought he was out of bounds, and then he wasn't.
Oh no!
Yeah,
he's in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Great. That was Jason Benetti's TV call where he's like, out of bounds. I don't remember what I said, but that was what a day, right? I mean that. When PJ said when he got here, we're going to have everyone chant and row the boat and everything else, and it's in the fourth quarter. It looks like the Gophers are going to win, and I look to the right, and all those thousands of Gopher fans, and they're all doing the row. I'm like, well, PJ said it happened, and it happened.
No doubt. And you give people in Minnesota a reason to go to Tampa in January, they'll take it.
They will, that's for sure. Maybe that'll happen again. What do you remember about those two plays?
Yeah, I think the one Tyler called in the back of the end zone at the end of half was a 2-minute drill, and it was something that we repped countless times but never ran in a game. It was a play that basically, hey, look, if he's open, give him a chance. If not, throw it over the back of his head so we don't have to burn a timeout. We have 3 chances to score or 2 to score and a field goal because it was the end of the half, not the end of the game. And it was like, all right, well, Tyler's number 1, Bate was number 2. Give Tyler a chance. My thought process was him or nobody, give him a chance, but let's lean on being safe here. And he elevated up, made a play, and it was like, oh, good catch, but he's definitely out. You see the hands come up, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy. And the second one, man, was just a great play. Designed up for Tyler to run down the field, and we set it up all game, kind of that inside post.
Was that any relation to the Bateman play against Indiana, or is it a totally separate play?
Totally separate, but it was both of them were off of a run play that we had run earlier in the game.
Gotcha.
So Tyler's move to score there, that open field touchdown, was off of a run that Mo was dominating on all game, which created Tyler an opportunity to win a one-on-one battle versus a massive amount of space. And he was wide open. I just had to connect the dots.
Yeah. So when you're back there and you see it unfolding like you had hoped, what's going through your mind?
Just throw it to him. Like it was literally like, hey, he's wide open.
Yeah.
Hit the target.
Don't miss.
Don't miss, bro. Give him a chance.
Late in the game, there's the 4th down play. Matt Simon, right, is at that point calling
pop pass
plays
to Bryce Witham.
Bryce Witham. So what? Take me through what was, and this was pre. Ear monitor.
Yeah, basically, like we loaded, heavy personnel set. Usually in that setting, we're going to run inside zone and go and get it, but we hadn't shown a lot that we can, pop the tight end. We'd done it a few times, but nothing crazy. And Bryce went up and made a great play. He wasn't wide open like we thought he would be, but he made a play to go and win the game. Again, something that we had repped countless times in training camp, and quarterback with Kirk, the details of that we repped millions of times, not literally, but a lot of times of, this is what we're going to do, retreat, high angle finish. And Bryce went and made a play, but that was a ballsy call for sure.
Gutsy call, and it paid off. And that was probably my favorite. I mean, there's been 3 or 4 drives over the years, and PJ loves those drives that just seal the game. You don't even get points out of it. Yeah. But you just, I think that was an 8+ minute drive, and there's been, I think PJ's had a 10+ minute drive at some point to seal games too, and that's a key to it. So that was a fun drive. They needed the ball back, and they never got it back.
That's right.
And then I suppose victory formation was pretty fun too on that.
That's always fun. Victory formation's always great.
The Vikings right now have their QB competition going. You went through a couple of them your first year, and then later on it flipped a little bit. Ethan was pushing you a little bit.
For sure.
Take me through what you
Who's
think
playing for David Blau?
At Washington now.
Right,
how
crazy.
about that? But take me through the mentality the quarterback has to have, and maybe it changes by the competitor and how you want to handle it. And PJ has always said here it's competing with, not against. There was some, and again, you and I are probably watching this more from afar, but with Murray and McCarthy now going at it with the Vikes too, and I think there was a lot made of JJ's comments last week about, hey, it was just two guys in a classroom.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he meant ill will. It did sound flippant a little bit. So everyone, and these aggregators now on internet will blow it up. Yesterday, O'Connell, as we record here on Friday, Thursday, Kevin O'Connell, the coach, said, I'm more concerned about, is their footwork good? Is he getting the ball to where it's supposed to be? Is he reading the defense? But both those guys, he's like, I don't have space to worry about what people interpret certain things. So your experience, take me through that. It can't be easy competing for jobs, but trying to stay friendly maybe. I don't know what the word is. Competing against is about as well as I've heard
You want
it.
people to push you, first and foremost. I mean, like Zach Anixted and I are great friends.
Yep.
Ethan Kaliak-Manis and I are great friends. But they're pushing you to be your best.
Yep. And you're pushing them.
Exactly, right? And so, Ethan's obviously in the NFL now and has a great chance to have a great career and all those things. But, you want people to push you. We can read into stuff way too much on Twitter.
Right.
Twitter X, whatever it's called.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the day, like, I think it's when you're in any competition, like, you can control what you can control and you can be your best. And that's it. And fans, they can get into all the hoopla of everything. And if you get caught up in that, if you're a high school player or anything, man, it's going to be hard. So we blow stuff out of proportion. But I remember from my time specifically competing for stuff, if it was like a constant push of I have to get better today, to give myself the best chance to win.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And in your case, I think a concussion knocked you out. Was that Illinois maybe?
Illinois.
And then Nebraska too,
I ended up coming back, playing against Rutgers, got concussed, kind of full circle. Yeah. Concussed at Nebraska and then missed, the rest of the regular season, came in as the Ethan's backup in bowl game and we won. But, it was, for me, I always think of I wanted to set Ethan up. I wish it would have worked for, I don't need to get into all the details here. Ethan here. But watching him have success, watching him at Wisconsin, man, was – Did I want to be out there? Absolutely. Yeah. But watching him do it, knowing all those things was awesome. It was great.
And what a pass he hit there, right? And to win the game in Madison on that on the throw, and then so people are like, well, Tanner was great winning as quarterback, and then it's over. But it wasn't because there was an injury, and actually Ethan had started that game in New York pretty well, right? I think it was like 7 for 8 or something,
he
and
was
then was it ankle? I can't remember now what happened.
Yeah, it was like a high ankle sprain or something.
So now all of a sudden, as we joked earlier, they call Mariano Rivera off the bench, bring the righty in, and you hook up with Daniel Jackson. I think once or twice anyway, and you get a win. What a way to go out, right? Yeah. A curtain call on a baseball field there. Nothing wrong with that.
No doubt. It was good. It was a good close. And when I got hurt, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to wear the maroon and gold again. So just getting the chance to do that was a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, John Michael Schmitz ends up playing in New York. Full circle. So
yeah,
cool.
Exactly. Newman's out there too.
Yeah.
Right? So
absolutely. Yeah. Carter was with the Giants, but
Yeah, he was. Right. Carter Coughlin. I remember you brought, I think, a baseball glove, right? We had that walk through the day before.
Yeah, I didn't bring a glove, but Joe, who's a phenomenal guy, he's a trainer.
Yeah, Joe Wisniewski,
Wisniewski. I can never say his last name right. Love Joe.
He's awesome.
We grabbed the ball from it was like being a kid, man. Yeah. We grabbed the ball from the cage down there and like, bro, we're in Yankee Stadium alone. We're playing catch. So it was just like you're 5 years old, bare hand playing catch in Yankee Stadium. It was the best.
And you're wearing number 2, so it's Derek Jeter.
Well, I basically got a free Jeter jersey because the Yankees don't put last names on them. So I was fired up.
That's right.
Dragon Kesich got a free Aaron Judge. It was great.
Yeah, because what they did, you guys had the Yankees clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
And so at your locker, they hung jerseys, and so you were 2 that was just basically.
And I loved, as a youth baseball player, I loved watching Jeter. I had his cleats. It was like I want to be like Jeter. And so being able to wear that too, for the captain, Derek Jeter. It was pretty fun.
That was fun. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Think about playing catch at Yankee Stadium and then getting a win a day or two later. That was a fun trip. New York, I know people say, it's a cold weather deal, and the field conditions weren't the greatest.
No, they were pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. But that said, the overall experience, I mean, Christmas in New York City, that's a pretty cool time to be there.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. It was a week, but it felt like a month, that's for sure.
No doubt. Well, hey, let's give the Pro MN Athletics one more time. The 7-on-7 stuff coming up.
ProMNathletics.com. We got a 7-on-7 league coming up, which will be 5th through 9th grade. Right before the tackle football season. Develop your passing game associations only. We've got well over, we've got a lot of kids signed up already, but got a couple more spots open. We want to help develop the game of football in Minnesota, and I think this is a valuable tool to do that. And so ProMNathletics.com, and then be on the lookout at Uncommon Ministries of some marketplace stuff we've got going on. July 25th is actually really fun. If you're into golf, Grant Horvat, Brian Bros, who are massive golf guys. They're coming up here July 25th for a free event at Hazeltine. So if you want to be on the email list, because it's first come, first serve, it's a morning thing, 8 to 9:30. It's the Saturday of the 3M at Hazeltine National Golf Club.
July 25th?
July 25th. Yep, It's an open invitation.
My son and I have bonded watching YouTube. I mean, we've been tight, but we watch.
If you're
Grant
in town,
Horvat
it's a Saturday. Let me know.
Yeah, man. At a minimum, my son will want to go see that. I doubt he's aware of it, but he's watching those YouTube golf videos all the time. They're amazing.
They're awesome. So they're going to come in, share their story, share about their faith. It'll be great.
Outstanding. One last one. Quinn Carroll would come in and punch me in the face if I didn't say, when's our next honorable mention podcast?
Whenever you come on our pod, Grimmy, come on.
You let me know. I'm in.
Quinn and I are excited, man. We just talking football, man. The honorable mentions. So the HM pod, it's been really fun to interview some great guys and talk football, college football, the space. Kind of took a little month and a half hiatus with him leaving to focus on playing ball, and we're getting back in, geared up, ready for the season and things coming up.
So coming soon to a podcast screen near you.
Be ready. We already got all the stuff out there, but it's going to be, I think we recorded 14 episodes, which I realize in the podcast space, and I have so much more respect for you. You said episode 223. We're at episode 13.
Yeah.
It's not easy. People think it's very easy to just record that consistency over time. So thank you for what you're doing for Gopher Sports in general. But this is a great podcast. I loved listening to it. When I was preparing for the spring game, listening to Isaac Frichte and Mo and Mariano when he did that coaches So I think it's awesome what you're doing, 223, that consistency. Please don't stop because we need you.
Yeah, and I need the money. So no, I'm just kidding. So this is great. So how do we listen to it? Honorable mention podcast.
Yeah, it's at the HM Pod. You can find it on all your podcast places, YouTube.
Beautiful.
But the HM Pod.
It's always fun to watch guys that you watch kind of grow up in front of your eyes doing great things. So it's been fun watching you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Grimmy.
There he is, Tanner Morgan. It's episode 223.
My thanks, as always, to former Gopher Tanner Morgan, who's always gracious with his time and brilliant in his insight as he made a return visit to the Go Gopher Podcast. Episode 223 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. Cub is a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast and proud to support Gopher Athletics for over 20 years. Cub, bigger savings on the items you love. Shop happy. Also, OnX Fish sponsors the show. Happy fishing from OnX Maps. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and please right now click that subscribe or follow button to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to subscribe, free to follow, and free to listen at any time. And please share the link to the podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, give us some positive feedback on your social media channels. We'll talk again next week.
Know what happy is? Veggies. Crunchy, crispy, colorful, seasonal, aromatic, juicy veggies. Produce at its freshest. Cub produce. Best produce, period. Guaranteed to make you happy or will replace it. No questions asked. Because good produce makes veggie lovers happy. Just remember, fresh, happy. Stale, limp, and wilted, not happy. You want to make a veggie lover happy? Shop Cub for produce. And shop happy.